Oh, hello. Didn't see you there. How we doing, good friends? Yes, exactly, chat. A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to. And I arrive 2 minutes post my planned start time, and that's just how it's going to be today. Boy, oh boy, can I not catch a damn break, let me tell you about today. Today has been something. Let's go ahead and get all these other things up on the screen because I got to get all the stuff set up. Let me change over and add my add all my chat widgets here because I have to reset it every time for whatever reason. I have had a time. I can't catch a break. I'm still trying to play catch up from stuff from the player's handbook. Not only do we have more monster manual stuff, my embargo for the monster manual's up. I have it. I can talk about it now. I can make videos and stuff on it. That ended this morning about 3.5 hours ago. Then they have their premiere videos they're going to be doing, talking about all that other stuff. And then on top of that, they drop an Unearthed Arcana. It's like, give me a break, guys. Oh, and then I got, like, Project Sigil Alpha, too. So, like, I just can't catch a break. Just cannot catch a break. That's all. But that's okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna make it work. That's the plan. But boy, oh boy, what is going on with this Unearthed Arcana? I mean, what? Not only do you take the concept of the Purple Dragon Knight, which used to just basically be a bard fighter, and you're like, you know what would be cool? How about we just give him a dragon? What? Oh, and it's better than the Beastmaster. Go figure. Who knows? Why would that surprise me? Does it surprise me? No, it doesn't. Okay. So let's go ahead and I guess we're just gonna dive in. I can't get my caster labs here to connect to Twitch for some reason, so but yes, those of you saying Drake Warden 2.0, it is essentially Drake Warden 2.0. Let's go ahead and I guess we're just going to dive in, right? So if you missed out, folks, the new Unearthed Arcana is live. It is available from, I'll show you how you get there. Here we go. Bear with me for a second because it's not going to be there till I pull it up here. Here we go. And we'll put on that, and we'll put on the chat so everybody can follow along. So here you go. You're going to go to Sources on D&D Beyond, Unearthed Arcana, the new one here, Forgotten Realms, Subclasses. And it says, this is essentially what we know that coming later on in this year, in case you missed out on this, later this year, in the I don't know what they're going to call it, but basically the end of 2025, we know that we'll be getting two new Forgotten Realms books. One's going to be like a Forgotten Realms player's guide, and one's going to be like a Forgotten Realms campaign setting, campaign guide, more on the DM side. And we knew coming with that was going to be several new subclasses, including the concept of a new type of magic, things that they've kind of alluded to, new magic items, probably new species, probably new feats, all that kind of stuff, right? So, in a surprise move, WotC has given us an Unearthed Arcana now here in January to give us a breakdown of, hey, here's probably all the classes. Now, I will say, it does bug me that we're getting back into this concept of not... I think it would be just a great move and a layup to just be like, hey, let's give you one new subclass for every class, because we're already starting to build the disparity between the classes again, right? We started 2024 Player's Handbook, everybody gets 4 subclasses. Now, I could be overthinking this, and maybe this is only a portion of the Forgotten Realms subclasses, and in the next Unearthed Arcana, if there, whenever that one is, we'll get the other ones. But I kind of like the concept of keeping things consistent, right? Everybody had 4, and then if you're only going to give some of them another one, then it's like, okay, these have 5, and we're getting right back to where we were, where some classes have a ton of subclasses, and some have very few. So, all right, they say in the video there's only 8 new subclasses. Well, shit. There you go. Why do we do this? Why can't we just make it so that, I mean, who knows? I'm not going to say anything till we get the final, like the book brief that tells us what's in the book. But let's go ahead and dive into this. We've been talking for a little bit here, and we haven't actually looked at anything. So you can go ahead down here and hit download PDF. There is a video. We will watch the video. I don't know what we're going to be able to get out of the video that's going to not be covered in this. Sometimes you can glean some information on the design side of things as to why they did say, something a certain way. It might be 8 in this Unearthed Arcana. Maybe it'll be 12 in the book. Maybe it'll be 13 in the book. Who knows where the Artificer is coming? We don't know. We just got that as kind of like, whoop, here's that. That could be in the Forgotten Realms book. It would seem odd because Artificer isn't intrinsically Forgotten Realms. It feels better in an Eberron book, but I digress. Let's go ahead and dive in. So here you can see we have several new playtests, and then we have 3 returning updated. The 3 returning subclasses that have been updated, which is something we had heard, and I'm a little surprised that the Blades... let me rephrase. We had heard in the press briefing at Gen Con that we will be seeing some subclasses making a return. And that, like, classes, stuff that was possibly left out of the update to the 2024 Player's Handbook, like the Knowledge Domain Cleric, for example, that was something from the 2014 Player's Handbook. It didn't get updated in the 2024. It's now coming in the Forgotten Realms Player's Handbook. I, for certain, thought it was going to be the Arcana domain. I also thought Necromancy Wizard would have been one of the big ones, but I also understand that Bladesinger is arguably that much more popular, so it makes sense to me. So, first up, we have the College of the Moon Bard. Okay. So, looks like we're focusing here primarily on the Moonshae Isles region of the Forgotten Realms, and at level 3 we get Moonshae Folktales. As a magic action, you can invoke the power of a folktale, imbuing yourself with primal magic until you use this feature again. When you use this feature, choose one of the following folktales. Tale of Life. You invoke the Tale of Vitality and Thriving Earth. When you restore hit points to a creature, you can expend a Bardic Inspiration die and increase the amount of hit points restored by a number equal to the roll on the Bardic Inspiration die. You can do this only once per turn. Okay. So this is so weird. So it's a magic action. I don't like how this is worded, but let's read, right? So as a magic action, you invoke the power of a folktale. When you use this feature, choose one of the following. So this first one here says when you restore hit points to a creature with a spell. So I activate this, but then does that mean I have to use a bonus action to heal? Because my magic action is to activate this ability. Unless I'm doing this ability first and then activating this ability second. Because unless this is supposed to allow me to also... no. When you restore hit points, you can expend a Bardic Inspiration die and increase the amount of hit points restored by a number equal to a roll of the Bardic Inspiration die. You can do this only once per turn. So... I guess, because I can't take 2 actions, so it's not like I'm going to cast Cure Wounds and then as a magic action activate Tale of Life. Because then you see here Tale of Gloam. You can invoke a Tale of Mystery and Secrets when you use a bonus action to give a creature a Bardic Inspiration die. You can take the Disengage or Hide action as part of that bonus action. Wait. So, okay, so you preemptively activate this, I guess, is how you do this? Yeah, okay, so you, as a magic action, you choose one of these 3 options, and it's just on you until you use it again. So you basically, it sounds like you're going to just set this up at the start of the day, and then maybe you have to change it if you want to switch it up. Because this one here is when you use a bonus action to give a Bardic Inspiration die, you can take the Disengage or Hide action, which is actually pretty nice because that's giving you a lot of rogue utility by also giving you the option of giving somebody else Bardic Inspiration. And then lastly here, Tale of Mirth. You invoke a Tale of Merriment and Fey Guile. When an enemy you can see within 60 feet of you succeeds a saving throw, you can take a reaction to expend a Bardic Inspiration die. The creature must roll the Bardic Inspiration die and subtract the number rolled. So that's essentially cutting words, but for saving throws. That's exactly what that is. So, yeah, it is seemingly set it and forget it. If you might have like a default that you choose at the start of the day. Hey, you know what? At the start, I'm going to go with Tale of Life, maybe, or I'll use Tale of Gloam, perhaps, and then if we get into combat, I might swap it to Tale of Mirth if we're going to be trying to hit with some heavy-hitting saving throws or something like that. Okay. It's just, I didn't love like, I understand it now. It just was kind of a little wonky to me, but I get it. Okay. Then at level 3, you get Primal Lorist. You learn a Druid cantrip and 1 cantrip from the Druid spell list. It counts as a Bard spell for you. And additionally, you know proficiency in either animal handling, insight, nature, perception, or survival. Okay, so this is, you know, it's a nature-based Bard. I'm digging it so far. These are exceptional utility uses here with Moonshade Folktales. And Primal Lorist isn't bad. It gives you a little more offensive power here in the cantrips opportunity here. And then Blessing of the Moonwells at level 6. You can cast the Moon, or you always have Moonbeam prepared. As a bonus action, you can cast Moonbeam without expending a spell slot. When you cast it using this feature, you glow faintly while you maintain concentration. You shed dim light out to 5 feet, and whenever a creature fails its saving throw against the effects of this Moonbeam, another creature you can see of your choice within 60 feet of you gets 2d4 hit points. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. You can also restore this by spending a 3rd level plus a spell slot. So it's a bonus action to cast. It doesn't use a spell slot, which is nice. It is still concentration, but you can also, when somebody fails, you can deal out a little bit of hit points. So that's not, this is a nice little kind of extra there. And then bolstered Folktales at 14. When you use your Tale of Life, which is the healing one, or your Tale of Mirth, you can roll a d6 and use that number roll in place instead of expending a Bardic Inspiration die. So again, this is kind of like Swords Bard. You're just rolling here a d6, and so you can save your inspirations if you need them. And when you use your Tale of Gloam, that's the roguish-like one, you can also teleport 30 feet to an unoccupied space as part of that bonus action. So you can give somebody Bardic Inspiration and basically get a free Misty Step. That's pretty powerful, not going to lie. So, yeah, Blessing of the Moonwells will definitely paint a target on you. You're going to be glowing in the dark, so hard to miss, but... yeah, so I agree. Blessing of the Moonwells doesn't really scale well. It's cool, and it's a little bit of a little bit of bonus action utility. It also, remember, we're in 2024, so as a bonus action, you can cast Moonbeam without expending a spell slot. Means you can still cast a spell as an action using spell slots, because it's only one spell with a spell slot per turn. So this technically can be done as a bonus action on top of a primary casted spell. So consider that. That does give it a little bit more utility in that way. All right. Update to the Knowledge Domain Cleric. All right. So, Blessing of Knowledge, proficiency in artisans' tools of your choice, and 2 of the following skills, Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion. You still get expertise in those 2 skills, which is exceptionally powerful if you choose the one cleric, especially religion. If you choose the one cleric option, the one that doesn't get heavy armor and martial weapons, where they get their wisdom modifier as a bonus to their intelligence, like religion checks, so that your religion knowledge is going to be like off the charts if that matters to you in your game. Now here's your spells, your knowledge domain spells. Command, comprehend languages, detect magic, detect thoughts, identify, and mind spike. That's a lot. Is that more? Because you're supposed to get 4, right? 2 per each level. Well, we're getting 3? Whoa, okay. Knowledge domain just gets more spells, I guess. I don't disagree with that. We've updated to include more damaging in combat. The number of spells is also increased. Okay, yeah, so command, comprehend languages, detect magic, detect thoughts, identify, mind spike. Level 5, you're going to get dispel magic, non-detection tongues. 7, arcane eye, banishment, confusion. And then at 9, legend lore, scrying, and synaptic static. That's actually a really nice combo of utility and damaging spells. I really like that a lot. So that's cool. And then mind magic here at level 3. As a magic action, you can choose, you can expend one of your channel divinity to manifest your magical knowledge. Choose one of the spells from this table here, from the knowledge domain spells that you have prepared. As part of that action, you can cast the spell without expending a spell slot or needing material components. So you can basically just get a freebie casting of one of these spells by using one of your channel divinities. So that's solid. All right, unfettered mind here. You gain telepathy out to 60 feet. When you use this telepathy, you can simultaneously contact a number of creatures equal to your wisdom modifier. It's kind of like a mini Rary's telepathic bond, so that's not bad. And then additionally, if your total for an intelligence check is lower than your wisdom score, you can use that score in place of the total. That is very cool. We don't see a lot of abilities that base on the score. The only one that I can think of is that one barbarian ability where if you make a strength check roll that's lower than your actual strength score, you can use a strength score instead. But that you get so late in the game, it almost isn't useful at that point. This I really like. At level 6, if you're like lucky enough to have like a level, a 20 wisdom, if you're lucky, by level 6, you could be like, well, I made an intelligence check. It's a 20, no matter what. It can't be less than that. It can only be more. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Channel Divinity comes back on a short rest. At least one of them does. But yeah, I mean, look at that. That's a legend lore. It's a freebie legend lore if you want. That could be a freebie synaptic static. Remember, it is a magic action to cast it. So I can't remember off the top of my head, but if any of these have a longer casting time than a magic action, you are now casting them as a magic action. I'm pretty sure they're all one action, but I can't remember if scrying takes longer than an action, but you can choose to do it as one, because it says as part of that action, you cast the spell without expending a spell slot. Also, no material components, so if any of these have pretty pricey components that you might not easily have access to, you now can just bypass that. And then lastly, at level 17, Divine Foreknowledge. As a bonus action, you magically expand your mind for 1 hour. You have advantage on all D20 tests. So that's anything you roll a D20 for, you're going to have advantage on for a whole hour. Once you use this feature, can't use it until you finish a long rest. You can also restore your use of this by expending a level 6+ spell slot with no action to just be like, boom, spell slot's gone. I've got that back. An hour of advantage is wild. That's crazy the amount of things you're going to be rolling with. So that's pretty crazy. I love that. I've always liked knowledge domain cleric because remember, and this is the thing I feel like a lot of people look at clerics and they base so much of their feelings on the cleric based on the subclass. This is wizardly level of knowledge and capabilities here, but you still have base cleric, right? Consider that. You have spirit guardians, spiritual weapon, all of the healing spells, You have things like Divine Intervention, which is now just a freebie autocast. The fact that you could Divine Intervention, as we've talked about, things like Prayer of Healing. You have so many. You have Turn Undead, Sear Undead. You have all of the base cleric kit on top of the fact that you have some really powerful skill-based knowledge. I mean, the fact that you're going to get you get 2 expertise here right out the gate in Arcana, History, Nature, or Religion. Like, you could do a lot and be like real. And these spells are great utility spells as well. There's a lot to be said about what you can do with this. You can almost replace like your skill monkey almost type character to some degree with just a knowledge domain cleric, and you're good to go. So, but yes, as you point out, a Poor Man's Foresight, which is a 9th level spell, for the expenditure essentially of a 6th level spell. Granted, it is at level 17, but it is not. It's a bonus action, and it is not the casting of a spell, Divine Foreknowledge. So you still could do this as a bonus action, and then still have access to your whole action if you want to do something else with it. So, got a lot going on there. Yeah, so Legend Lore is a 10-minute casting time, so that would be saved there in the process, which is pretty cool. Yeah, can't get that to fix. All right, we'll fix that. All right, moving on to one of the wildest changes I think I've seen is the Purple Dragon Knight, aka Summoner of Amethyst Dragons. It's so goddamn cool. I want to play it so bad. Oh, it's so good. There's part of me. So I'm playing in a Tyranny of Dragons campaign on Monday nights. I didn't get to play last night, but part of me so desperately wants to be like, hey, I know I'm doing the whole champion fighter thing, and that's fine, and I'm enjoying playing a champion fighter. Because I just wanted to try it, but part of me is like, yo, this shit just dropped. Boy, we were actually talking about me taking like a feat to get a companion. This is real cool. This is real cool. But let's read it. All right. Nightly Envoy, level 3. Learn a language of your choice. This is actually kind of rare now. I haven't made a video on this, but like your access to languages in the 2024 D&D world is pretty limited. And your access to exotic languages is almost non-existent with outside of subclasses and things. Also, you can cast Comprehend Languages, but only as a ritual. Whatever. Not a huge deal, but a fun little extra thing. Purple Dragon Companion. You are bonded with an Amethyst Dragon hatchling that serves as your Purple Dragon Companion and uses the Purple Dragon Companion stat block, which we'll get to on the next page. The Purple Dragon is friendly to you and your allies and obeys your commands. The Dragon in Combat. In combat, the dragon acts during your turn. It can move and use its reaction on its own, but it only takes the only action it takes is the dodge action unless you take a bonus action to command it to take some action from its stat block or something else. If you have the incapacitated condition, the dragon acts on its own and isn't limited to the dodge action. Resurrecting the dragon. If the dragon companion has died within the last hour, you can take a magic action to touch the dragon and expend a use of your second wind. The dragon returns to life after 1 minute with all of its hit points restored. Okay, so it's a 1 magic action to blow a second wind and just be like, what up, buddy? You're back. Let's go. That's not bad. I mean, it's 1 minute after that, but still. So it's not going to be like you're going to return it in combat unless you get into one of those really knockdown, drag-out fights that lasts for longer than a minute. I don't know how many people have done that. I've done it, like, I could probably count on 2 hands the amount of fights I've been in where we've gone 10 rounds, like where something goes down due to duration. But that would be wild to be able to just be like, hey, he died in the last fight. I'm going to use my magic action to bring him back. Because it doesn't say you have to focus on it or concentrate on bringing it back. So, like, magic action, touch the dragon, expend a second wind. It returns to life after a minute. There could be a wild, you want to talk about like a campaign defining moment. If you're in a combat that lasts that long and you get to round 10 and he's back in the fight, that would be nuts. Otherwise, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to resurrect the dragon. This can be performed only as part of a shorter long rest, but that's fine. So it's like there's a more ready way to get it back, or as part of a shorter long rest, and again, you get your second winds back. So it's well designed on how you could get it back. So there you go. Let's see. Purple Dragon Knight and Ranger Drake Warden. You could live your best Violet Sorengale life, I guess, and have a purple dragon and a gold Drake Warden Drake, and then you could have 2 dragons, and you could, do your thing. Anyway, let's get into the Purple Dragon Companion stat block. So, small dragon, neutral. Its AC is going to be 13 plus your intelligence modifier. Its HP is 4 times your fighter level. Don't worry about it. 4 plus 4 times your fighter level. I don't know why it starts as 4, but either way. So let's see. We're going to get this at level 3. So we're going to be at 12, 16 hit points at the start. So it's not super beefy. But if you boost your intelligence up pretty high, you could be sitting at a pretty decent AC, maybe 18 if you're lucky. If you're real lucky and have a 20 intelligence at the start. 30-foot fly, 30-foot land, 30-foot swim. Solid. Here's our stats. 16 strength, 16 dex, 12 con. Dark vision, 60 feet. All right, traits. Amphibious, it can breathe both air and water. Stalwart Bond, add half your proficiency bonus rounded down to any ability check or saving throw the dragon makes. So you notice that it doesn't have any skills as far as like skill proficiency or saving throws. It does give you, actually it does have saving throw proficiencies in a few things, and it's going to add half your proficiency bonus. That does not look like it's built into the stat block here. You would have to do that yourself. All right. Now, it does have the Rend ability, which seems to be, by the way, after the vote from that poll I did, do you prefer Bite, Claw, and Tail Attack or Rend? Most of you preferred Rend by a very small margin, but you did. So it is +3 plus your intelligence modifier for the attack roll, and then its damage is a d6 plus your intelligence modifier in force damage, which is, again, wildly unresisted as far as damage types go. And then twice a day, it gets its gravity breath. Its DC is 8 plus your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence mod in a 15-foot cone. On a failure, the target is either pulled up to 15 feet straight towards the dragon or pushed 15 feet away from the dragon. That kind of sucks because it's not doing any damage. It is like you have a dragon, you want the dragon to do the thing. Like, get your breath weapon, go kill that thing. It's just a shunting, pulling or pushing breath. It's better than no breath, let's be real. But it sucks that at level 3, it doesn't have anything as far as damage goes. Level 7 is Dragon Rider. The dragon grows to medium size. You can use the dragon as a mount if you are medium or smaller, but while you're riding it, it falls at the end of a turn if it's airborne, and the only thing holding it aloft is its fly speed. If the only thing holding it aloft is its fly speed, rather. It takes you only 5 feet of movement to mount or dismount the dragon. So again, they're making it because it's medium size. It can carry you, but only momentarily. It can carry you on the ground, no problem, but if it's flying, it's going to plummet. And then improved gravity breath. At least here, it is going to get some damage, right? The cone's going to go to 30 feet. 30-foot cone is very commendable. We like that. But when a creature fails its saving throw, it's also going to take 2d6 force damage. So not only will it get pushed or pulled 15 feet, it will also get 2d6 force damage. And then also gets shared second wind. When you use second wind to regain hit points, the dragon also regains hit points equal to a d6 plus your fighter level, and it regains a use of its gravity breath, which is huge. So you using second wind to heal yourself it's going to heal the dragon a little bit, and it's going to get a gravity breath weapon back, which is also nice because, again, it also gets damage now if they fail. So, Rallying Surge at level 10. When you use your action surge, you can choose up to 3 allies within a 30-foot emanation, so 30 feet in any direction from you. Each ally can take a reaction to choose one of the following options. Advance. The target makes one attack with a weapon or an unarmed strike. If your purple dragon is one of the allies using advance, the dragon can make one rend attack. Retreat. The ally can move up to its speed, half its speed without provoking attacks of opportunity. So I don't like that advance doesn't come with movement. I mean, I get that advance, like you're advancing the combat and that they all get to make an attack, but hey, this is just you using action surge. So it's not like you're expending anything. I'm just going to use action surge to make another attack, or at this point, 2 extra attacks. And then 3 people of my choice within 30 feet just get to go ahead and use their reaction to either make an attack or move away without provoking attacks of opportunity. And again, you can use your dragon as one of the creatures in which to make that attack. Oh, sorry, I guess there is some Fourth Wing fans that are losing it over here in the chat. I just missed that. Let's see. You could be a double dragon all by yourself. That is true. The HP is kind of low. That is agree. I do agree. I would have made it probably 10 at the start. 10 plus 4 times your fighter level feels a little bit stronger. It's not like a huge amount, but either way. All right, so that's all that. We're still with it falls at the end of the turn right now. We're at level 10. Let's see what happens when you hit level 15. Amethyst Pinnacle. So this is probably going to be the biggest upgrade to the dragon itself. Superior Mount. The purple dragon grows to large size. Both its speed and its fly speed increase to 40 feet. Additionally, the dragon no longer falls at the end of a turn if it's airborne while you're riding it. That is a no-brainer, so fair. Tandem Attack. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can forego one of your attacks to command the dragon to make one rend attack. Alternatively, you can forego 2 attacks to command the dragon to use Gravity Breath. There is no way you should ever do that. That is a horrible idea. You are better attacking. Honestly, consider the fact that as your bonus action, you can have this thing attack every turn. You are getting an attack every turn as a bonus action, if you consider that, right? As long as the dragon's alive, because you can use it to command the dragon to attack as a bonus action. So whatever you're looking at, like your damage per round and stuff like that, you've got whatever you're doing. Ideally, you have a weapon that does improved damage with Flame Tongue or something along those lines, right? You're going to have one of those, and then it can attack every turn as a bonus action. You should definitely not forego 2 of your 3 attacks to have it do a 2d6 breath weapon that does a little bit of push and pull, right? That's silly, in my opinion. If you want to have it push or pull to set you up for an attack, that's fine. And maybe, if something's vulnerable to force damage, you want to forego one of your attacks to have it attack because it's going to do more damage in the long run because of the vulnerability or whatever the case may be. I think the damage on the breath weapon has to go up. We're going to come back to this, but let's look at the last ability here. Enduring Commander. You and your purple dragon have resistance to force and psychic damage. Listen, we know now in the world of 2024, force and psychic resistance are very limited. Especially because we now know what the monster manual kind of looks like, or gets an idea of that. And again, more videos coming on that. This just kind of came out of nowhere. But I like it a lot. It needs work. I like it a lot because they really were like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the Purple Dragon Knight was a knight that rode a purple dragon? And I'm like, you know what? There's something to being like, hey, we like things at face value here. We're going to just give you that. It still needs work. The breath weapon needs to do more damage. The health might need to be a little bit higher. Rallying Surge just feels so out of left field. This is OG Purple Dragon Knight shit right here. Rallying Surge, this kind of concept. that was always the Purple Dragon Knights thing. Even if you go back to like older editions when it first appeared, it was always like a buffing fighter. It was like a bardic fighter. I think they even in older editions had inspiration mechanics. You would do this like I had the same concept of I think I had done an update of the Purple Dragon Knight at one point, and it was just like, yeah, well, you get more second winds, and you can burn your second wind. If you use second wind, it heals your allies, stuff like that. That was kind of their concept. Was almost like a bardic paladin fighter. So Rallying Surge is a great move. Rallying Surge is one of the best things here. You're just using Action Surge because you want to use it, and then your allies get the benefit of doing something else. That's huge. It doesn't really feel like it fits in this whole subclass, though. It's great, and the fact that you can give it to your dragon is great, but it feels like that is way out of left field. Like, the whole class should be like that design-wise, or you're going to make it about dragons, make the whole class about dragons. That's kind of how I feel, because I feel like we're missing something in here somewhere. This needs to go up to at least 4d6 at the very least. I mean, we're scaling worse than cantrips. At level 7, we do 2d6 damage. Granted, we do get the push and pull, but also this damage is only on the failure, not on the success, not half on a success, just on the failure. Is it only... Oh, it is... No, yeah, or yeah. Either pull up to 15 feet straight towards the dragon or push 15 feet away. It's good, but I don't know that that's going to be enough damage. Also, its damage is only ever going to cap out at a d6 plus your intelligence modifier. Now, if you have a 20 intelligence, that's a d6 plus 5, but you are also building an entire subclass around the concept of basically having a d6 plus 5 damage-wise bonus action every turn. Polearm Master can do very similar, with more utility and have the other benefits of being a fighter, like a battle master or whatever. It's not there yet. This reminds me a lot of the Primeval Druid when they tried to do the Primeval Druid. It was close, but I don't think it landed perfectly. So, this needs some help, I think. They just announced more Humblewood ban. I just can't catch a break. Just can't catch a break today. I tell you. One thing I did want to look up, though, is the Paladin's steed. What is it? It's Fine Steed. What do they call it? Otherworldly Steed. So the Paladin's Find Steed spell. Let's look at the Paladin's stat block. Okay, it starts off with less AC, 5 HP plus 10 per spell level to cast it. It gets, you heal, it heals, 1-to-1. Its damage does a D8 plus the spell's level of damage, and then they either get the heal, the teleport, or the frighten. And it's got a 60-foot movement speed and a 60-foot fly speed. So, and it starts off, you get this at level 5. It starts off as a large-sized creature. It can carry you no problem. You see what I'm saying? I like this a lot. This feels like a pretty good rival to it, and it's a spell, where this is an entire class. And again, we could... It has very similar feelings to the Drake Warden. If we were to go look up the Drake Warden Ranger, it has a, even the same concept of, right, it only being so large, and then like you can ride it, but not for like, okay, I guess we're just not gonna skip to the sections. Cool. Yeah, here's the Drake Warden. 14 plus proficiency bonus, 5 plus 5 times your ranger level, so a little bit more on the hit point side of things. Damage is pretty similar, but it does get the boost of the extra damage with the kind of infused strikes, and it has resistances right out the gate. which your dragon has no resistances at all, whereas the Drake Warden has resistances here. And then again, as you level up here, medium size. While you're riding it, it can't fly at all. So this one, they gave it a little bit of benefit of it can fly, but only for a short distance. It's gonna deal extra damage with its attack here. You get the resistance from it at level 7 with the Ranger. Then its breath weapon here is 8d6. It gets a 30-foot cone 8d6 breath weapon, which goes up to 10d6 at 15. And then obviously its damage gets even more and things like that. So it's not perfect, but it's a cool concept and I like it. And I like it on the base kit of Fighter because Fighter is very strong in 2024. It still needs some work. Okay. Oath of the Noble Genie's Paladin. Now this one is a little bit tricky, a little bit odd, a little bit something I was not anticipating here. So, all right, you're basically an elemental plains paladin, which apparently is very apparent right out the gate here, with Elemental Smite. Immediately after you cast Divine Smite, reminder, Divine Smite is a spell now, you can expend 1 Channel Divinity and invoke one of the following effects. So this is your casting Divine Smite. Reminder that if you play Rules as Written 2024, you have to hit them. Then as a bonus action, use your bonus action to cast the Divine Smite spell to then deal the Divine Smite damage in addition to the extra hitting damage. Then you could spend your Channel Divinity to do whatever this is going to say on top of that. The target has the grappled condition. Period. Wow. What? No save. Dow's Crush. They are grappled. And they are also restrained. No save. You hit them, done. That's nuts. And you get to choose. Okay, keep going. Ginny's Escape. You teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself and take on a mist-like form. While in this form, you are immune to the grappled, prone, and restrained condition. Ifriti's Fury. They just tack on an extra 2d4 fire damage. Okay. Or Marid's Surge. The target and each creature of your choice within a 10-foot emanation originating from you may make a strength saving throw. On a failed save, they are pushed 15 feet away and have the prone condition. So, that's pretty strong because you're using your Channel Divinity for this, and it's just like it happens. So you hit them, you use the Divine Smite to juice the damage, and then also another thing. This almost feels like it justifies Divine Smite having to eat your bonus action because this is just a thing that's happening in addition to that. So, I mean, Ifriti's Fury is not a ton of damage, but, it is, you also get to choose. So if you are choosing this when you crit, you could get a little bit extra damage. But the fact that you could just auto grapple and restrain, and it doesn't, you're not using anything to do this. It's just happening. You're crushing them with the Dow's energy. So you hit them, and you can move away, and they're grappled and restrained, which is pretty nuts. All right, and then the Genie spells. When you reach Paladin level specified, you get the following spells here. Chromatic Orb, Elementalism, and Thunderous Smite. Elementalism being the cantrip. Mirror Image, Phantasmal Force, Fly, Gaseous Form. Conjure Minor Elementals, Summon Elemental, Banishing Smite, Contact Other Plane. Those are also some very powerful spells listed in there. I mean, a Paladin with Mirror Image and Range Threat with Chromatic Orb is pretty nuts. So, I'm digging that. Level 3, Genie's Splendor. Another thing at level 3. While you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor, you gain a bonus AC equal to your Charisma modifier. So we're leaning into the concept of the light armor Paladin. So you can still be wearing light armor, studded leather armor, let's say, and you could just get a bonus equal to your Charisma mod. I like it. You also get proficiency in Acrobatics, Intimidation, Performance, or Persuasion. Okay, level 7, Aura of Elemental Shielding. Choose Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Thunder. You and your allies have resistance to that damage while they're in your aura of protection, and you can change that at the start of your turn. Level 15, Elemental Rebuke. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can take a reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself, and force the attacker to make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failure, the attacker takes damage equal to 40/10 plus your charisma modifier. The damage is either acid, cold, fire, lightning, or thunder. Half on a success. Charisma modifier times prolonged rest. That is a very powerful reactionary attack. They hit you. It's basically like a juiced up Hellish Rebuke that doesn't use a spell slot, and you get to choose the damage type. Like it. And then Noble Scion, as a bonus action, enter into this form for 10 minutes. Once you use this feature, you can't use it to finish a long rest unless you spend a 5th level spell slot. Fly speed of 60 feet and can hover. And when you or an ally within your aura of protection fails a d20 test, you can use a reaction to make it succeed instead. Wow. I wasn't asking for it, but I like it. It's a pretty solid paladin all around, right? We don't see a lot of light armor paladins, especially one that benefits the light armor paladin by giving them charisma modifier to their AC. We love that. The elemental smite variability as well as utility is huge. The spell list is very solid, giving you some really good defensive and offensive options there. Elemental shielding, who's going to say no to just resistance to the damage type? Obviously, you can swap this at the start of your turn as no action, so you can cater this towards the situation you're in. Elemental Rebuke is a great little reactionary damage that you can do. And then Noble Scion is just, hey, you want to be able to fly and then also be like, hey, stop sucking. You succeed instead. And you just do. It's kind of crazy. The actual oath is beget creation with destruction, lead with splendor and grace, respect the elements and fear their wrath. It's pretty generic stuff. I feel like you could really read into that however you want. So, there you go. Seems to make you want to be a dexterity-based paladin. That is true. All right, Winter Walker Ranger. Oh, could we be dealing with a Drizzt situation here? The Ranger of the North of Icewind Dale, huh? No, we even referenced 10 towns and all that. All right, let's see. You have resistance to cold damage. Just flat out, up front, no questions asked. You get resistance to cold damage at level 3 as part of your subclass. That is pretty solid. Can't really argue with that too much. Obviously, if you're going to play a class that can get you a resistance to some other type, you can be stacking resistances pretty quickly. Polar Strikes. When you hit a creature with a weapon, you can deal an extra d4 cold damage to the target, which can take this extra damage only once per turn. This extra damage ignores resistance to cold damage. When you reach Ranger level 11, this extra damage increases to a d6. So we're almost kind of better than Hunter's Mark already. The problem that I'm going to say with this is it's still based on the base Ranger kit, which is trash. Hunter's Rhyme. Oh, here we go. When you cast Hunter's Mark, you can gain temporary hit points equal to a d10 plus your Ranger level. Additionally, while a creature is marked by your Hunter's Mark, it can't disengage. Well, we're leaning into Hunter's Mark again. All right, I mean, listen. Casting Hunter's Mark to give you temp HP and a solid chunk of temp HP, as well as removing the disengage action, that actually feels pretty on theme. The concept of, like, I've marked you, you can't get away from me, so now you can't disengage. Then we get some spells here in Ice Knife, Pass Without Trace, Remove Curse, Ice Storm, and Cone of Cold. Some decent AoE and ranged ice spells here that you normally wouldn't have access to as a ranger. Fortifying Soul. You experience surviving harrowing environments, allows your body to bolster your allies in addition to yourself. When you finish a short rest, you can choose a number of creatures you can see equal to your wisdom modifier. A chosen creature regains hit points equal to a d10 plus your ranger level and have an advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition for 1 hour. So you're just basically giving like a juiced up version of the old Song of Rest here. Chilling Retribution at level 11. When you hit a creature with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to force the creature to make a wisdom save. On a failure, the target has the frightened condition until the end of your next turn, while frightened, its speed is 0. Wisdom modifier times per long rest. I don't love that. Frozen Haunt. When you cast Hunter's Mark, you can adopt a ghostly, snowy form. It lasts until the spell ends. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest unless you have spend a 4th level spell slot. You have immunity to cold damage. We do not see immunity very often in the world of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, so that's pretty crazy. When you first adopt this form, and at the start of each of subsequent turns, each creature of your choice within 15 feet of you must just takes 2d4 cold damage. No save, they just take it. You're also immune to the grappled, prone, and restrained condition. You can move through targets and objects as if they're difficult terrain, but take a d10 force damage if you stay there or end your turn there. If the form ends while you're inside a creature, you're shunted into the nearest unoccupied space. Listen, I don't like the Ranger in 2024. I don't love this subclass, but this is one of the better ones out there. Level 11, I could deal with. I could just not. Chilling Retribution kind of doesn't really do it for me. Again, I think I would want to give you something other than Fortifying Soul because it's based on a short rest. And again, as we know, depending on the party, short rests can either be very abundant or almost non-existent. I do like the spells. I like that you're getting things like resistance to cold damage and just extra cold damage constantly. And then again, the little bit of extra stuff you get here from Hunter's Rhyme. But I think the biggest downfall for the Winter Walker Ranger is the fact that it's still a Ranger. All right. Scion of the Three. What's going on, Baldur's Gate fan? Let's get the Dead 3 in here in an inspired rogue subclass. That's right. Bane, Baal, and Merkel are back in the form of a roguish subclass. Awesome. You got me from the jump on that one. Let's go ahead and see what you're getting. Bloodthirst. If your sneak attack hits a bloodied creature, someone that has less than half hit points, they take extra damage of the weapons type equal to half your rogue level rounded up, which is a rare situation where you're rounding up. In addition, when an enemy you can see is reduced to 0 hit points, you can take a reaction to teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. You can then make 1 melee attack. You can use this reaction intelligence modifier times per long rest. So, just extra damage on weakened characters, and if you kill somebody, you get a teleport and a free attack, all as part of the same reaction. Solid. Choose your Dread Alliance. Choose Bane, Baal, or Merkel. You have resistance to 1 damage type, either psychic, poison, or necrotic damage. And you can cast a cantrip in either Minor Illusion, Blade Ward, or Chill Touch. Again, consider this, right? What do you want? Baal is probably not a bad move. Poison damage is pretty prominent in the world of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Not to say necrotic and psychic aren't, but poison, a lot of things can do poison damage. But maybe you're also curious about the cantrip type, so it depends. Do you want to have something more offensive, like Chill Touch, more utility like Minor Illusion, or more defense like Blade Ward? Level 9, Strike Fear. This is a new option for your Cunning Strike feature. If you're unfamiliar with Cunning Strike, that's a 2024 rogue feature where you basically turn in sneak attack dice for a cool effect. So we have Terrify for a d6. The target must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for a minute. They can repeat the save at the end of each of their turns, so you're basically spending a d6 of your sneak attack dice to frighten the creature. 13, you get Aura of Malevolence. At the start of each of your turns, each creature of your choice within a 10-foot emanation originating from you takes damage equal to your intelligence modifier. It's of your choice, and they just take that damage. It is the same type as the damage resisted by your Dread Allegiance feature, so again, consider that. You might want to go with something like Bane, just because psychic damage is not that resisted. Let's see. The damage dealt by this aura ignores resistance and is the aura is inactive if you're incapacitated. So you just have an aura where you're just dealing damage to anything of your choice within 10 feet. And lastly, at 17, you get Dread Incarnate. Battle Tyrant, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature with the Frightened condition, synergizing with our level 7 feature. And Murderous Intent, when you roll for a sneak attack die, you can treat any roll of a 1 or a 2 as a 3. Fantastic. This is an amazing ability. This is similar to the new Great Weapon Fighting, which is, again, it used to be if you roll a 1 or a 2, you can re-roll it, which is now if you roll a 1 or a 2, you can treat it as a 3. Again, sneak attack dice are always d6s, so being able to get basically guaranteed half damage on your sneak attack all the time is solid. Obviously, if you roll above it, you're good to go, but I really, really like that ability. So I think this is very powerful. I like this a lot. I like the flavor behind it. It kind of reminds me of if you do the whole thing where you kind of give yourself the get that armor by doing the one run, doing the ballast run, kind of in Baldur's Gate 3, where you can get the armor that projects the aura that makes people vulnerable to piercing damage. That is what this kind of feels like in some degrees in a subclass, which I really like. All right, Spellfire Sorcerer. What up, wielders of the weave? Do you want to be able to use the Spellfire, one of the most rare abilities that a spellcaster, someone who follows Mistra or something like that, can access? Well, Spellfire is very real and very potent. Let's go see what a Spellfire Sorcerer can do. Spellfire Burst at level 3. You can spend 1 sorcery point as part of a magic action or as a bonus action on your turn to unleash one of the following magical effects. Bolstering Flames. You or one creature you can see within 30 feet of you gains temporary hit points equal to a d4 plus your charisma modifier. Or Radiant Fire. One creature you can see within 30 feet of yourself must make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC, excuse me, or take a d6 fire damage or radiant damage. So, I don't know if this, I feel like, needs a little bit of a juicing up, but you're spending a sorcery point as a part of the magic action or a bonus action on your turn to do one of the following things. So you're either going to give somebody a little bit of temp HP or deal a little bit of extra damage. Okay. How about the spells, though? That's where we're going to see. Oh, here we go. What a great spell list. Cure Wounds, Guiding Bolt, Lesser Restoration, Scorching Ray, Aura of Vitality, Dispel Magic, Fire Shield, Wall of Fire, Greater Restoration, Flame Strike. That's fantastic. You've got a healing sorcerer here. This is amazing. Love that. Absorb spells at level 6. You always have Counterspell prepared. Additionally, whenever a target fails the saving throw against your counterspell, you get a d4 sorcery points back. Is huge. It's almost worth using the new shittier version of 2024 counterspell to just juice yourself up with sorcery points. It's also a way that you still have to spend the spell slot, but yeah, there's ways you could maybe get extra sorcery points that way. Level 14 is Honed Spellfire. Okay, here we go. Your Spellfire Burst, which is that level 1 ability you can do for 1 sorcery point, increases. You add your Sorcerer level to the temporary hit points gained from Bolstering Flames. So that was a d4 plus your Charisma mod. Now it's a d4 plus your Charisma mod plus your Sorcerer level. And the d6 for Radiant Fire increases to 3d6. So again, you can now just deal potentially 3d6 damage after a dex save to somebody as just either part of a magic action or a bonus action. And lastly, Crown of Spellfire. As a bonus action, gain this following benefits for 1 minute. Last until you get rid of it, or basically spend 7 sorcery points to renew it. Burning Life Force. Once per turn, when you are hit by an attack roll, you can expend a number of hit dice up to a maximum equal to your Charisma mod. Roll the expended dice, reduce the amount of the damage from the attack by that total amount, plus your Sorcerer level. Wow. That's a huge reduction in damage, because right there you're just you're knocking off 18 damage. Fly speed is 60 feet, And spell avoidance. When you're subjected to a spell or magical effect that allows you to make a saving throw to take only half damage, you can, instead take no damage if you succeed, and half if you fail. You can't use this benefit if you have the incapacitated issue. This is evasion for everything. While you have this on, you can basically use evasion on any spell damage. That's pretty crazy. And then lastly here we have our Blade Singer update. Not too much here. Blade Song still pretty much remains the same. Again, it is now, although it's now intelligence modifier times per long rest as opposed to proficiency bonus times per long rest. Still get your intelligence modifier to your AC. Still get your speed increase of 10 feet. But now they've added in that you can use your intelligence modifier for your attack and damage rolls as opposed to strength or dexterity. That seemed like a no-brainer once they made that an option, and it obviously is a list here. And then again, when you make a Constitution saving throw to maintain concentration, you can add your intelligence modifier to that total. Training in Warren's Song is the same. A proficiency in martial, proficiency in all melee martial weapons that don't have the two-handed property. And you can use a melee weapon with which you have proficiency as your spellcasting focus for your wizard spells. You also gain proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: acrobatics, athletics, performance, or persuasion. Did they remove armor proficiency? I think they did. Yeah, if you don armor or a shield. So you can no longer have light armor proficiency as a Blade Singer wizard, which you used to be able to do. So they removed the ability to wear light armor, but they gave you all melee martial weapon proficiencies that aren't two-handed or heavy, which can also be used as your spellcasting focus. And previously, you used to just get automatically proficiency in performance. It's now acrobatics, athletics, performance, or persuasion for training in War and Song. Extra attack remains the same as we've seen with the update to it. You can attack twice instead of once. Moreover, you can cast one of your wizard cantrips that has a casting time of an action in place of one of those attacks. Song of Defense is the one that I actually hated the most because I always thought it was odd and they kept it exactly the same. When you take damage while your Blade Song is active, you can use a reaction to expend a spell slot and reduce the damage taken by an amount equal to 5 times the spell's slot level. I've never liked this ability, and they kept it exactly the same. And then Song of Victory, which used to just be you add your intelligence modifier to any damage that you do with a weapon attack while in Blade Song. I understand the change now because now you can just use your intelligence modifier instead of your dexterity. Song of Victory is now after you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action, you can make one attack with a weapon as a bonus action. Ultimately, that is a better call. The two versions of Extra Attack are much stronger. Extra Attack at level 6 and Song of Victory at 14, where I can attack twice, make one a cantrip, or I can still throw a big spell and then follow up with an attack. I think I like that better overall. It does a little bit less for the folks who want it to be the pure melee Blade Singer, where you would have had an extra, intelligence modifier worth of damage on all of your attacks. But I think this ultimately wins. You do get a little bit of the armor debuff in removing the proficiency with light armor there. But you get more weapon options as opposed to just having to pick one. Largely the same, though, really, in the grand scheme. A little bit more versatility and some skill options there. Wouldn't the extra attack cantrip also trigger that? After you cast a spell that has a casting time of an action. I guess technically a cantrip is a... Is a cantrip? A cantrip is a spell. Yeah, it doesn't say you have to spend a spell slot. So in theory, if that is correct, you take the attack action twice. Moreover, you can cast one of your wizard cantrips that has a casting time of an action. So it seems like you could, like you're saying in the chat there, you could possibly do attack, true strike attack, bonus action attack. because you cast a spell with a casting time of an action. Something like that, right? Attack, green flame blade, attack again. So it does seem like potentially, if we're understanding that correctly, you could use this like, hey, I have fireball and then I shank you. Or I could possibly attack 3 times as long as I throw a cantrip in there. I'm not sure if that's the intent, but it does seem to read that way. That you could do that. By the way, hey, we do have 69 likes on the video, which is awesome. Nice. If you guys like this kind of stuff, though, hitting that like button on the video does drive this up in the algorithm to get this out to a whole bunch of people. So, you know what? If you haven't liked the video while you're watching it right here now, especially you guys over here on YouTube, if you could, I would really appreciate it. It just drives us up in that algorithm. So, yeah. It I think rules as written, it does seem like you could attack 3 times. And honestly, that almost this is one of those like guaranteed damage versus potential damage, right? So previously it was add your intelligence modifier to the damage you make while you attack in Bladesong, which is, potentially more damage over time. But a third attack could potentially be even more damage, depending on what kind of stuff you're doing. I never liked Song of Defense. I don't know what I would have done instead. I never really had a great example for it. I just never really liked this. I never wanted to be spending my spell slots to reduce the damage, especially when I have things like Shield and Absorb Elements. Like, more often than not, Absorb Elements will cover 9 times out of 10 the kind of damage. Like, the only time I'm going to use Song of Defense is if it's a damage type that's non-elemental, something like a Disintegrate, right? Something that I need to reduce the damage that I can't Absorb Elements doesn't duplicate it for, which, like I said, Absorb Elements cuts most damage down. That's a first level spell, and it's just having it as opposed to trying to reduce it. And honestly, to reduce the damage to make it kind of viable to keep you alive, in a lot of instances, you need to be spending high level spell slots. So I never really liked it. Do we ask if this is intentional in the survey, or do we keep quiet and hope it goes through without revision? Oh, the 3 attacks? Well, if it does get a revision, it will likely end up saying, after you cast a spell with a spell slot that has a casting time of an action, if they add that with a spell slot, we know that it wasn't intentional, because then that means that was, the obvious point was that you would just cast you not be able to do it with the cantrip because it could tie into extra attack. But would Eldritch Blast interact with this strangely? If you had access to Eldritch Blast, but also notice here, when you cast one of your wizard cantrips, you'd have to find a way to get yourself Eldritch Blast considered a wizard cantrip, which is very hard to do. If you were able to, you could attack Eldritch Blast, then possibly attack again. But I don't know. Let me see. I'm just checking here. Making sure I didn't get any messages here. Let's see. Okay. So, let's go ahead and see how long. Oh, God, their video's 45 minutes. And there's the giant video. Oh, man, it's going to be a long day today. Let's see. Yeah, True Strike attack. Oh! Wait, let me take a look at this. Hang on. Does this say anything about being only... If you don armor or a shield, or if you use 2 hands to make an attack with a weapon. Now, when you read that, 2 hands to make an attack with a weapon, that feels like it means like two-handed, not dual wield. Because in theory, if you have a way to get weapon proficiency, You could attack, cantrip, nick attack, and then also bonus action Song of Victory attack. So you could get 4 that way, potentially. Right? Because nick is part of the same attack. So you could get all of those going at the same time, which means your Blazesinger could possibly get 4 attacks in a turn. Possibly. Not 100% on that one, but it is possible. So, again, as I mentioned, I have to make other videos because the Monster Manual embargo is up, so I can make videos covering stuff in the Monster Manual. I'll probably just, you know what, I had some stuff that I was gonna make, but I think what I might end up doing, I can't show anything from it on screen. That's like the big thing I'm not allowed to do, is to show it. Obviously, we know what happened with the player's handbook. But I could make a video and just say, hey, leave some comments. What do you guys want to see? Or what do you guys want to know about, I guess. I can't show you, but I can talk about it. And then go from there. Because there's some changes, obviously, that people may want to know about. Or I bet you there's a lot of stuff that people think is like, ooh, I bet this is in there, and it might not be in there. So there's definitely, looking at these, some clear winners in my mind, right? I don't think it's particularly flashy, College of the Moon Bard, but it's solid. I like it. It does good stuff. Right? Knowledge Domain Cleric. I love the Knowledge Domain Cleric. I like what kind of role it can fill while still being a cleric. Purple Dragon Knight has my heart, because who doesn't want to be a dragon rider, right? Everybody does. Whatever book series you read where you got to ride a dragon, depending on how old you were when you read it, whether you've been reading books where people ride dragons for years, whether it was from something like an Aragon or a Dragonlance or some of the other so many dragon riding books, or somebody that's more new into newer fantasy dragon riding stuff. But whatever the case may be, people want to ride dragons. Everybody knows this. So the Purple Dragon Knight has my heart because I want to ride a dragon. It also needs some work, right? Like I said, it reminds me so much of the Primeval Druid. For those of you who don't remember, the Primeval Druid was it was going to be one of the Big B's classes. We only got the Giant Barbarian in the Big B's Glory of the Giants. It was basically going to be a druid that could use its wild shape to summon a primeval companion. It was essentially going to be like you could summon a dinosaur, like a big thing to fight for you, as opposed to like a fine familiar. It was going to be like your primal companion. And it was close, but it wasn't perfect. It needed work. So, the Purple Dragon Knight is close. It's not perfect. It's not the perfect Dragon Knight. It's the Purple Dragon Knight. It needs some work. It also seems to have some conflicting options. Like I said, Rallying Surge is a fantastic ability. It feels like you either got to go with that kind of concept where you are the person who's buffing everybody by using your abilities, like Rallying Surge, or you go all in on dragon riding, because this one just feels way out of left field when everything else is boosting the dragon. Now, the dragon can take benefit from Rallying Surge, but it doesn't feel like it. Are you a banneret, right? Are you? Because that was the other thing, right? Purple Dragon Knight was the name of the dragons in the Forgotten Realms, like, because they were part of, I think they were Cormyrian Dragon Knights, because there was like a big fight with a ancient black dragon that was so old that its scales started turning purple. There was a whole lore behind that. And the people who defended it, they were the Purple Dragon Knights. It was a whole thing. But outside of the Forgotten Realms, they were called the Bannerets, which is like, you're the war standard. I'm here. I'm going to do my Rallying Surge, and I'm going to get everybody in. We're all going to do stuff. Are they the dragon riders who ride dragons, or are they people who boost and like help everybody? Are the fighter who's boosting everyone? And that's why Rallying Surge could be one or the other. Either lean all the way into the dragon or lean all the way into this, but not try to mix and match. Noble Genie's Paladin, I got nothing to say about it. It's solid. Like I said, it even almost justifies 2024's changes to Divine Smite with the fact that Elemental Smite just gets tacked on at the end. The fact that I can just hit you and grapple and restrain you and walk away is huge. And I got great spell options as well. Just so much good stuff. And again, benefits of being a light armor paladin. Winterwalker Ranger, listen, it's one of the best ranger subclasses out there. It's just still a ranger subclass, which is the problem. Scion of the Three, I like a lot of it. I think some of the abilities are fantastic, and I think the lore, because I'm just, who isn't obsessed with Baldur's Gate 3 or Baldur's Gate in general? I think it's good. I like this concept of being like, hey, kick them when they're down. They're low on health. You're going to do more damage. I would have liked to, it's half your rogue level. I would have loved this to be your actual rogue level for Bloodthirst. Or maybe later on, somewhere in the class, Bloodthirst becomes your full rogue level instead of half. Because, I get you down low, it's going to be easier for me to just gank you. I like it. Spellfire Sorcery. You wanted a sorcerer that could heal, that could do a bunch of other cool stuff. This is your guy. And then, obviously, Blade Singer's always been strong. There's been some tweaks, but depending on how you read into it, it could be exceptionally powerful. Or it could just be a small little tweaks. Hard to tell. If you can get access to a second bonus action, you can restrain them and teleport in the same turn. Yeah, unfortunately, second bonus actions are pretty rare, almost non-existent in 5e. Purple Dragon Knight is Daphne from Scooby-Doo. I could see that. When is the second Aragon movie coming out? Answer, never. Well, they're not doing an Aragon movie. Disney Plus bought the rights to Aragon to do an Aragon series. So, there you go. Similar to how we've had this weird renaissance of failed movies getting turned into TV shows, where we had like the really shitty Percy Jackson movies, and then the Percy Jackson movies got turned into a TV series, and they did like a really shitty Mortal Instruments movie, and then that got turned into a series. We had a really shitty Aragon movie, that's getting turned into a series now. So there will be an Aragon TV series on Disney Plus at some point. When is there going to be a Dungeon Rider class? Great question. Not sure. Purple Dragon Knight reminds me of a character. Primeval Druid was a great idea. Yeah, agreed. I wish the Primeval Druid made it as well. Yeah, Warlord. I couldn't think about it, but a Warlord, that was very much what the Purple Dragon Knight was that like that battlefield commander Warlord style. And if you focus more in on that Rallying Surge ability and like make that the focus, that's what you'd get. You'd get your Warlord, your battlefield commander. Or you make them the fighter with the pet. Pick one, not both. Just give me consistency. That's all I ask for. Correct. The Purple Dragon Knight was a name. They never actually got dragons before, but now they do, apparently. And you know what? I'm okay with you changing it. And obviously, who knows what they've done to the lore in the world of Cormyr and things like that. Oh, and it does say here, characters with this subclass are special among the Order. Unlike most purple dragons whose partner with Amethyst dragons already reached adulthood, a Purple Dragon Knight psionically bonds with an Amethyst Dragon hatchling. So they changed a little bit or added a little bit of lore to explain the fact that they get this dragon. And I'm okay with that. You gotta make it worth my while. As it stands right now, it's a cool companion. And if you're doing the Dragon Rider roleplay and you really want to go into this, then do your thing, man. Live it up. But mechanically, we're talking about a D6 damage as a bonus action. you know, with a little bit of utility here and there, you could do a lot more with it, is all I'm saying. They already did a Mortal Instruments TV show. I think it's already off the air. It was like a freeform show a while ago. They did they did the shitty movie, and then I think Freeform did a TV series. So you convinced me pet dragons need to go. Listen, I like it. You just got to pick one. Make the Banneret a subclass, and make the Purple Dragon Knight a subclass. Make them two separate things, right? If you want. That's all I'm saying. They change the lore all the time. You can't, you know, it's whatever. Also, if you ask Ed Greenwood, he'll probably just say, yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah. Let's see. All right. Let's go slog through this 45-minute video. We're going to put the timer, we're going to put the speed up to 1.75 times because we got shit to do today. Let's go ahead and see what they have to say about
Hello, everyone. We have a new video about Unearthed Arcana. We're going to be talking about Forgotten Realms subclasses, as well as some survey results coming from the Artificer. So the Artificer survey generated a whole bunch of results that our team...
Hang on. I'm going to slow it down for the Artificer results. Didn't realize that was going to be part of it.
Is still going through and analyzing, but one of the things that we're enjoying about the new way that we're scoring surveys, where we have this color scheme of greens that says, yes, I want this feature exactly the way it's written, or yellow of, I want it, but please change it, or red of like, nope. It means we've been able to see very quickly from a high level, you know, what's going to move forward the way it is now and what is going to move forward but need adjustment. And we saw a lot of green and yellow in the initial survey results. And so now where we are in the process is digging into the written responses, because a big part of responding to anything that was rated as yellow is discerning, well, now how are we going to change it to make sure that we take this thing that people have identified that, yes, we want this, but adjust it in a way that will hopefully turn the yellows into greens. And so we'll have more to share about the Artificer in a future video. But today we also have another Unearthed Arcana. And it's a big one. Yes, we have, you know, been working on a number of fun things behind the scenes as we've been you know, waiting for each of the core books to come out, and soon the end of the trilogy, the monster manual will be in everyone's hands. And we can now finally share, as we did with the Artificer, a lot of the other things we've been working on for other books coming out now in 2025. And so one of the books we have told people is coming is a Forgotten Realms Player's Guide. And we have a whole bunch of fun player options that are destined for that book. And among those player options, we're exploring 8 subclasses.
Okay, it sounds like, the way he said that, it sounds like all 8 subclasses are the ones we got. It doesn't sound like it's, here's 8 of them and we're going to do 12, which I'm not a fan of.
8 of which are in today's Unearthed Arcana.
Oh, wait, no, then he said 8 of which, so who knows?
5 of them are brand new, and 3 of them are returning subclasses that are getting a revision treatment like we did with the subclasses in the Player's Handbook. The 3 returning subclasses are the Knowledge Domain for the Cleric, the Purple Dragon Knight for the Fighter, and the Blade Singer for the Wizard. Now, there are a lot of interesting things to dive into in the 3 returning subclasses and the 5 new subclasses, but I'm not going to do that. Instead, Mackenzie is going to be our guide through a lot of the interesting ins and outs in these 8 subclasses.
So we have plenty of subclasses here. First off, let's talk.
So the other thing I want to say is I do think, especially for the first book post Player's Handbook, that we should do 1 subclass for every class. You have plenty of options of stuff you could still bring back, right? You could bring back the Battle Rager Barbarian would be a great one because it was one of the OG Forgotten Realms classes. You could bring back the... I'm actually shocked that they didn't do the Swashbuckler and they went with this brand new one. You could do the Sun Soul Monk, which is another one that's very popular. You could do the Long Death Monk, which is one that's not super popular, but I like it.
There's so many.
Yeah, it is a chunky UA. Let's go ahead and dive into the College of the Moon.
The College of the Moon is a new bard subclass that is heavily rooted in the history of the Moonshade Isles in Faerun. Also in the Moonshade Isles, there's a lot of Fae influence, so you'll see a little bit of Fae influence here, as well as a lot of Druid influence.
Yeah, and that's very apparent right at their level.
Yeah.
Like you have the Moonshay folk tales,
Yes.
and each of these tales have different, very specific effects.
Yes. So at third level, you get your Moonshade Folktales, which basically means as a magic action, you can imbue yourself with the power of one of these folktales, which basically
Yeah, Mackenzie speaks pretty quick, so it's rough. And actually, we're not. We're at 1.5 times speed. I don't even think I want to go to 2 times. I think it'd be nuts.
give you different ways of using your bardic inspiration. You have 3 tales, like you mentioned. The first tale is a tale of life, which allows you to expend bardic inspiration whenever you restore hit points to a creature using a spell. You can buff up that healing with a roll of their bardic inspiration. Then you have the tale of gloam, which allows you to, if you are giving that bardic inspiration to another creature as a bonus action, you can also disengage or hide as a part of that bonus action. This one is very much meant for mobility usage, for if you're stuck in the thick of combat and you want to help out your fighter who's like nearby and fighting an enemy, but you also are way too close and way too squishy. You can give them that inspiration and then get the heck out of dodge, which is super fun. And then we have the Tale of Mirth, which is one of my personal favorites, which I like to think of as sort of a counterpart to the College of Lore's iconic cutting words. The Tale of Mirth lets you take a reaction to expend a bardic inspiration die if a creature you can see fails a saving throw. You can roll that die and lower the saving throw by the number rolled, which I think is super fun as a way to sort of help bolster like your other spellcasters or even spells that you cast, really making sure that you can almost like tricksily or playfully cause them to actually fail when they think they succeed in a moment of triumph. I think it's, and that is one of those ones that leans really heavily into that Fae sort of whimsy, dangerous playfulness that I think really embodies the Fae.
What I like about all these subclasses is like they're they're very inspired by the Forgotten Realms,
Yes.
but these are subclasses that can fit into anyone's campaign.
Yes. We wanted the subclass to have these really clear roots when you're reading it like alongside like a campaign guide or something. Like these are people from the Moonshade Isles who grew up in the Moonshade Isles and draw on that magic that they've learned and absorbed. But also this is a subclass that is a love letter to folklore, to oral tradition, to kind of telling the stories of the land and its people and making sure they pass on and live on in the magic of keeping those traditions alive.
Perfect. We've also got, well, that's not the end of level,
No,
you get level 3.
Yes. At level 3, you also get Primal Lorist, which allows you to learn the Druidic language as well as 1 cantrip from the Druid spell list. This will allow your College of the Moon Bard to talk to all your Druid buddies in your very nice secret language. You also get an additional skill proficiency, just to add a little bit more extra parallelism to the Druid there.
At level 6, we have the Blessing of the Moonwells.
Yes. In the Moonshades, there are these locations called Moonwells, which are these really powerful sacred sites of primal magic and primal energy. So we wanted to pay homage to that, as well as give the bard access to one of the really iconic druid spells of Moonbeam. So this feature allows you to cast Moonbeam. It also allows you to put your own little bardic twist on a Moonbeam, casting it as a bonus action, and also allowing it to kind of heal allies under certain circumstances, which I think is super fun.
And then at level 14, we've got
Yes.
Bolstered Folktales.
Yes. At level 14, your Moonshade Folktales get even more powerful. So the tales that expend your bardic inspiration, you can now just roll a
Usually
d6
these
in
videos
place
are
of actually
so
expending a
slow.
roll. And the Tale of Gloam, which keys off you giving a bardic inspiration to another character or creature. When you do that, you can now also just teleport, having that, again, that really Fey feeling of just sort of bopping here and there and almost Fey walking like through like an ethereal gate to another location without being able to be hit or struck during that movement.
This brings us to the Knowledge Domain.
Yes.
This existed previously, but there's been significant changes to the Knowledge Domain.
So the Knowledge Domain last appeared in the 2014 Player's Handbook, and it has since gotten a wonderful makeover and glow up, as many of the subclasses in the 2024 Player's Handbook did, which is super exciting. We really wanted to, in our sort of revamp of the subclass, we really wanted to emphasize that this is
So we didn't get a new Barbarian, Druid, Warlock, or Monk. I would say Battle Rager Barbarian. I would say Sun Soul or Long Death Monk. As far as the Warlock, everybody wants to say Hexblade, but a lot of that got bastardized into the base Warlock, so I don't see any need for Hexblade. I don't really know what I would pick. I guess Undead, maybe, or Undying, one of the two of those. Or just, make the goddamn dragon warlock that everybody wants. And then Druid, I don't know, Dreams, maybe? I don't know.
This is not just the smart cleric, this is the cleric of the mind, and whatever that entails. This is the cleric of knowledge of both past, present, and future, really emphasizing the sort of otherworldliness and divinity that can come from studying and mastering aspects of knowledge, learning, and the mind.
Perfect.
And you can see the changes start immediately at level 3 with Blessings of Knowledge, which now gives you proficiency with a type of artisan tool set, which we mostly wanted to do because gods of knowledge are often also, they are either share domains with, or they also are patrons of like crafting. And also we have these really wonderful new crafting rules in the 2024 Player's Handbook. So we wanted to give this knowledge domain cleric, who should know like how to use all these sorts of things, a way to interact with those crafting rules. So with this feature, you can like get proficiency with calligraphy supplies and make spell scrolls. You could make potions of healing. You could make poison if you wanted to. You could make armor for your friends. You've got a whole lot of things that you can do with those crafting rules and this artisan tool proficiency that that fit kind of under that jack of all trades, well-rounded kind of knowledge-focused individual.
Now on top of that, with that theme, we also have knowledge domain spells, and
Yes.
this has been revamped.
So yes, the spells that you get as part of the knowledge domain that are always prepared have been also given a wonderful revamp. We have included way more combat relevant and damaging spells on that spell list now, like Mind Spike, which is super fun. We really took advantage of a handful of those new spells that got put in the 2024 Player's Handbook. You'll also notice that the knowledge domain spell list that you get is much bigger than
This is what I
all of the
wanted to hear
other
than
cleric
anything
spell
more than
lists
anything,
for the other
really.
cleric subclasses, which is super cool because we really wanted to emphasize this idea of knowing a lot, and also the fact that a lot of knowledge deities are also deities of magic or spellcasters. You'll also see a lot of the things that were in the 2014 knowledge domain are now fully just integrated into the spell list with like detect thoughts, with legend lore, with comprehend languages and tongues. You get a lot of that like utility that previously existed in the class, but has just been buffed up to an immensely powerful magical degree, so to make it even feel more.
I agree. I do like that they actually did put chapters, which is nice. So we can actually skip ahead, because I think we pretty much got all we need to know out of the cleric at this point. But yeah, I think we do need a separate standalone video covering the artificer results for sure. Let's still jump ahead to the Purple Dragon Knight.
Which I think is super fun.
This brings us to the Purple Dragon Knight.
Yes.
This has existed before, but
Yes,
there's
it
been some
has.
significant changes
Yes.
to how the Purple Dragon Knight functions.
Yes. So the Purple Dragon Knight originally appeared in Sword Coast's Adventurer's Guide, but we have, in this UA, we have given it more than just like a glow up. We've given it a full makeover. We really wanted to keep this sort of the core identity of the Purple Dragon Knight, of this kind of beacon of like bravery and leader on the battlefield, while also really making sure the class lives up, or the subclass lives up to its name of being a dragon knight. And what better way to do that in a game of Dungeons and Dragons than giving the knight a dragon?
Yeah.
Which is super exciting. So the Purple Dragon Knight now gets a lovely Purple Dragon companion. They're modeled after the Amethyst dragons that we've seen like in Fizbins and other previous installments in our game, but sort of appears in a wholly new way that's very unique to this subclass, a very unique little dragon companion that grows with you as you sort of level up and adventure across the world.
Well, first off, let's start at level 3. We
Yes.
have Nightly Envoy.
Nightly Envoy now lets you learn a language, as well as gives you the ability to cast Comprehend Languages as a ritual. We really wanted to emphasize the fact that like this sort of archetype of a character is running around the world, doing good deeds and supporting folks and being that sort of ambassador. And so we wanted to make sure that like no matter where you kind of went, you had the ability to understand and respond to the needs of the people around you. And then following that, we get the very awesome banner new third level feature of your Purple Dragon Companion. So you can use a dragon in combat. It has some really fun abilities, including a little gravity breath that allows you to push or pull people, so you can be really tactical with where you send your Dragon Companion. And also, most importantly, if your Dragon Companion dies, we have it so that you can take a magic action and expend a use of your second wind to revitalize and resurrect that dragon, because I love pets.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure you can resurrect your dragon. You can also resurrect your dragon if you aren't able to get to your dragon in time or something else unforeseen happens.
I'm also, like, we're watching this video, and I don't feel like, we got a little bit of insight on some things, but I'm not sure how much more we're actually going to get out of watching this, because they're just going over the abilities that we already kind of went through. Did we have any questions about any specific abilities? Oh, the Blade Singer. Maybe we'll get some insight onto the way the Blade Singer abilities work. But I feel like most of the things were very, like, we kind of understood what they did. So, like, I don't know. Personally, I don't want to sit here for another half an hour and watch this video. So I think I would like to jump ahead to the Blade Singer to see if we can't figure out if our concept of attacking 3 times will actually work. Any objections to jumping ahead? Because, like, you know, I feel like I don't think we had any real questions about the Oath of the Genie's Paladin or the Winter Walker Ranger, the Scion of the 3. A lot of that, it was all pretty straightforward, right? Just the dragon not working. We got the concept about the extra spells for the knowledge domain, which was nice to hear. So I think I want to just jump ahead to the Blade Singer to see if we can't figure out, like, because they also didn't mention in their adjustments for the Blade Singer that they removed the armor either. Here we go. Let's jump ahead.
For like magically charged effects.
And this is like an absolute classic, very tied to the Forgotten Realms, but
Yes.
also this is like 2nd edition Elven Handbook kind of
Oh, yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
It's the Blade Singer wizard.
Yeah, it's back, baby.
So tell me what some of the revisions have been here.
So yeah, the Blade Singer it has some revisions since we've last seen it in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Like Jeremy's talked about in the Artificer, when we're taking something from Tasha's, a lot of that work is just sort of bringing it up so it is in line with a lot of the quality of life improvements that we gave to a lot of the other things that appeared in the 2024 Player's Handbook. And you can see a lot of those quality of life things here, starting with the Blade Song now lets you use your intelligence modifier for attack and damage rolls.
Yeah.
Like in the 2024 Player's Handbook, you'll see like a lot of times when we have those expendable resources like the Blade Song, we've given them like an overall sort of oomph boost across the board because we want to make sure that you get what you get the most out of that expendable resource. So with this, we gave you that sort of boost to your attack and damage rolls. Now get to use your intelligence modifier instead of the strength or dex that you would normally use.
Training in Warsong is improved.
Yes, you can now you gain proficiency with all melee martial weapons that don't have the 2-handed or heavy property. We have wonderful weapons, and we, since we gave the wizard some proficiency with simple weapons, we figured we just open the door for them for the Blade Singer. So theoretically, you can be a Blade Singer with a battle axe now, and that's super fun.
That is
the
actually
other really important thing for training in War and Song is now you can use a melee weapon that you are proficient with as a spellcasting focus.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Which again really helps our very combat-focused Blade Singers, so that way they can still be casting their spells and not worry about having to rifle through their pockets for like a crystal orb or a wand while they're like trying to fend off someone with a rapier.
Song of Victory.
Yes, because we had moved up using your intelligence modifier for the damage rolls way earlier in the subclass, we had some room for, in the level 14 feature, to do something new. And so now this feature lets you make an attack as a bonus action whenever you cast the spell. Which again, we wanted to emphasize, like, the Blade Singer is first and foremost a wizard. So we wanted to make sure that you had a lot of those options to still cast your spells while also doing all the fun parts about being a Blade Singer and being, a wizard with a sword. So having this ability to, cast your spells as an action and then still make those hits with your bonus action just kind of helps balance that out and really emphasizes the spellcaster nature of the Blade Singer.
We're mentioning just the changes. You still get the benefits to
yes.
your armor class and things like that when your Blade Song are going on.
Yeah, we kept all the things that we really loved from Tasha's, like the boost to your armor class during the Blade Song, the boosts to your saving throws to maintain concentration, extra attack, all those wonderful things that we really loved in Tasha's have stayed. We have just, again, it has been just bringing it back in line with all the sort of quality of life improvements that we did in the 2024 Player's Handbook.
Like you mentioned, battle axe, longsword. These are versatile weapons. Just as long as you stay using them with one hand, they're still applicable to using the Blade Song. But if you try to use 2 hands, then that's when things go out the door.
So you have proficiency with anything that very specifically doesn't have the heavy or the 2-handed property.
Right.
You can certainly, like, a longsword is a very classic Blade Singer weapon. You just can't use 2 hands to make that attack.
And I love the idea of a very elegant battle axe.
You got to keep your one hand sort of doing the magic jazz hands as you're on guard. And
Perfect. That is a lot of subclasses, Mackenzie.
Hey.
We got through it. That is a ton of content.
what
Again,
a beefy UA.
all very Forgotten Realms themed, but like
yeah.
fits into just about anyone's fantasy, anyone's campaign setting.
I mean, like, that's the fun thing about the Forgotten Realms, right? Like, it's so many flavors and so many archetypes of, like, fantasy that people enjoy. And so, like, yeah, a lot of these subclasses are really, like, tied to the Forgotten Realms, but they're also tied to, like, the fantasy genres that like all can find a home in the Forgotten Realms. Whether you have like survival horror, sword and sorcery, mythic fantasy, like all of those things have a home in the Forgotten Realms. You can see them in these subclasses.
Rogues lined with evil gods.
Yeah, all of those things. But you can also see those archetypes throughout like any setting, and you can really just adapt these for places beyond the Forgotten Realms. And I'm so excited to see what folks think and how they play with these subclasses and what they have to say about them. It's going to be super exciting. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and as a reminder, the best way for us to send us your feedback, do that with the survey that is on Unearthed Arcana in D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
We always appreciate comments on YouTube and everywhere else, but mostly the most important thing is filling out that survey, letting us know what your playtest experience was, and get us that feedback. We are listening. We want to find out. We want to do more. So thank you so much.
Yes.
All right.
God, what is that one campaign setting that it's really hard to remember? Oh, it's the Forgotten Realms.
Oh, God. It's back. He couldn't get it. Oh, they got us at the end. He got us at the end, folks. So, I found this, by the way. So we were talking about this. I had done a Fixing the Purple Dragon Knight video a long time ago, and somebody actually basically distilled the majority of my video into a document. I never did it into a document. I just made it in the video. But just to give you an idea of what I had done and see how this will work with our 2024. So I had basically had the fighter get more second wins, which now they just do as a base. But what I had done is when you choose this archetype at 3rd level, whenever you use your second wind ability, allies within 60 feet of you regain a number of hit points equal to your fighter level plus your charisma modifier. Additionally, allies that can see or hear you can use their reaction to move up to their movement speed without provoking attacks of opportunity. This was my fix. So this is when we're talking about the non-riding the dragon one. I'm just curious to see. I haven't even looked at this in years to see how this fits now in a world of 2024. So you don't have to have this ability give you extra second wins. Base fighter has that. So now this would still apply. Whenever you heal, you can heal allies around you and they get to move. Maybe it's up to half their movement speed without provoking attacks of opportunity. That seems more in line of what they have to do here. So then I had level 7's Mactor Tactician. You can use the help action as a bonus action and may do so from a range of 60 feet instead of 5 feet. Again, trying to give you a little something extra. Inspiring Surge. When you use your action surge, choose a number of creatures equal to your charisma modifier within 60 feet of you. That creature can make a melee or ranged attack provided it can see or hear you. I would now just basically shift it to Rallying Surge and just have it be this ability here. But I would make it up to your charisma modifier allies as opposed to just to 3. And then I have Bulwark at 15. When an ally within 60 feet of you fails a saving throw, you can use your reaction to allow them to re-roll that saving throw with a bonus equal to your charisma modifier, which is essentially giving you, allowing you to grant them the ability to use essentially your Indomitable, but instead of Indomitable, it was just that. Although now Fighter Indomitable lets them re-roll it with the bonus equal to your fighter level, so maybe we change it to that. And then lastly, Final Stand was your Rallying Cry ability also grants temporary hit points equal to your fighter level plus your charisma modifier. So not only are you healing your allies with your Rallying Cry and letting them move around the battlefield, you're now also juicing them up with temp HP. So that was my original fix to the Purple Dragon Knight, kind of leaning more into this concept of Rallying Surge, as opposed to the you get to ride a purple dragon. And that was kind of what I always wanted them to be, is that they're out there just doing the thing. They're being that warlord, battlefield commander type. So yeah, somebody put this out on Reddit years and years ago. If you just search Nerd Immersion Purple Dragon Knight, like, that'll be... I made a video on it years and years ago. Say, here it is, Fixing the D&D 5e Purple Dragon Knight. And that was what I did, and then somebody actually just took it and threw it into a document, so... That's what I would do. But, yeah. I have no issue with people riding a purple dragon. I have no issue with people riding amethyst dragons or having the purple dragon at all. I just think that version of the class is not... It's not where it needs to be a viable option. It's good. good concept. It's just, it also is split. You have an option that fits in the old version, and then this whole concept of being dragon-based. I'd rather you ditch Rallying Cry as it stands, or Rallying Surge, or whatever it's called currently, and give me something else to boost my dragon so that it's more in line with something like the Drake Warden. Drake Warden gets a pretty sizable breath weapon that does 8d6 up to 10d6 at a point. My dragon does 2d6 if I'm a purple dragon and no damage if they succeed, and that's it in a 30-foot cone, whereas I think the Drake Wardens get up to 60-foot cone. Drake Warden is a 30-foot cone at the start, but it also, it's the breath weapon damage also changes too. It could be acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison. You can pick which type of damage you want it to be. So, again, I like the purple dragon. I'm a sucker for a good pet class, which is, you know, which is why when I was, one of the attempts where I was going to remake the Ranger, I wanted to make the animal companion be part of the base class of the Ranger. That's just like, it's just part of it. Every animal companion, every Ranger gets an animal companion, and they're the pet class. Because I love that, but so many people are like, no, I don't want a pet, that I just end up giving up of it. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of them just making anything genie based on another word for 4 elements. Yeah, you know, it is true, CB. You bring that up because they did call it the Oath of the Noble Genie, and it's just the 4 elements. Why couldn't it just be an elemental paladin? Why does it have to be tied to a genie? Honestly. I mean, I know there's like, it's obviously they've got some stuff in here with Kalimshan and Kalashite, and that's all part of it. But it could have just been an Oath of the Elements. And I'd have been fine with that. You know? Yeah, maybe just make an Oath of the Elements. It doesn't have to be... Nothing in here screams genie when I look at this. Other than, like, they have the Genie Splendor ability here. Here we go. Right? This all just screams elemental. Like elemental, this is a rebuke. This is a shield. This is elemental smite. This is, you know, a little bit of flight. Minor wish is just, that's such a, just change the name. You really could have just called it the Oath of the Elements, and it would have been just fine. Yeah, so... Like I said, some of these, I love the knowledge domain updates. I love the concept of the purple dragonite updates. I just think it's a little conflicted. Mechanically, I have nothing to say bad about the Noble Genie's Paladin. I think it's solid. Like I said, Winter Walker Ranger is fine. It's still a Ranger. Scion of the 3, I love the lore behind it. I would love to see Bloodthirst maybe do a little bit more damage, but... Murderous Intent is one of the best options for sneak attack you can have. Spellfire Sorcerer, solid, get you some healing in there. Again, this kind of level 3 ability is kind of weak early on just because of the limited number of sorcery points you have access to. Later on, like beyond level 6 where you can just counterspell to get sorcery points back, and you know, the higher sorcery point count you have, the more useful this ability here is going to be. And Bladesinger, you know, is still strong, as it always is, but might be even stronger depending on how you read Song of Victory. So, yeah. So, what else we got? The Genie Warlock has more actual Genie. That is true than the Genie Paladin. The Genie Warlock does have some ties to it with the bottle, and it's still not perfect, but it is more genie coded, I guess I could say, as opposed to the Oath of the Noble Genie's Paladin. Every animal companion gets a ranger. Find familiar, find steed, Beastmaster, Drake Warden exist. I mean, like I said, you got the concept of what a Banneret or Warlord would be. Every class should have a pet subclass. I don't actually disagree with that. I think that would be something. If every class had their version of the pet subclass, right? The Primeval Druid we were talking about that lets you use Wild Shape to summon like a Primeval companion. Honestly, probably would have been my favorite would be whatever the Barbarian pet class would be awesome, right? That's so Barbarians, you have that concept, right? Big, tough Barbarian with like the dire wolf. That's like that you can see it in your head. I don't know what it would be called. Path of the Beast. I think that already exists. But you know what I mean. That would be cool. A cleric with some sort of like companion. That'd be really neat. Obviously, we have the Battlesmith Artificer. We got this fighter here. We obviously have the Ranger. All Paladins technically get one in the form of a Fine Steed spell. If you had like a familiar based wizard that like they summon like their familiar, but they can like juice up their familiar to like make it much bigger and stronger, that'd be cool. You have the Shadow Sorcerer, which could summon like the how was the Hound of Ill Omen or whatever it was. Path of the Good Boy. Yeah, I think it would be cool to have everybody have that opportunity, because you know what I mean. You've got to think about your power fantasy too, right? It's just like how you can lean into so many of these different options where like, okay, we now have like a more druidy nature bard option in the Moon Bard, right? So like, why can't everybody have a little bit of like a nature option for them? Some of classes are obviously more nature coded than others, but you could have a nature based wizard. That's not unheard of. So why can't everybody have their option for their pet class? And then everybody wins, right? Because then like, I don't have to be like, don't play the Ranger's the pet class. But if I'm like, ooh, wizard sounds fun. Ooh, and I can have a cool pet and make it like a really cool pet. That feels like a good choice to me. Give Nature Domain Cleric a pet. That could be something, right? Well, that would also be one that we could see an update to potentially, right? Nature Domain, because that was one that got left back. Yeah, it would be like a summoner wizard, right? Where you like you take like what am I thinking? Like Maria Renard from Castlevania, right? Like you're taking, instead of just like, I have my familiar, but like, now I have a dragon. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. The Illusion can summon for free. You're not wrong. The Illusionist does have that kind of an option. But I would rather have like I could maybe have a familiar, because you have spells like Flock of Familiars where you summon a couple familiars, but maybe you have like improved familiar, or like you cast this kind of wizard, whatever you are, has a version of casting a better familiar, right? Like you can cast a modified version of Find Familiar or something that like juices it up and it increases in size and it increases in hit points and it can fight for you, something like that. I don't know. I do like that concept though. I like us this is actually something I might make a separate video on, this concept of like the concept of the just like everybody gets a pet class. And then that way, no matter what you're playing, you can have the fun, like, and something beyond just like Pact of the Chain, right? Something a little bit beyond that. Maybe you have Pact of, you have Chain Master. I don't know, that's a dumb name, but like Warlock, where it's like, you want to take that Pact of the Chain to the next level? Let's go to the next level. You know what I mean? Druid does have Wildfire Druid, which does have kind of they do have a pet in the form of the Wildfire Druid. That is true. So there's something, like, it might need tweaking. It's not a perfect analogy, but there could be some stuff there, I think. So listen, you know what? I recognize that if you have 4 players at a table and each one has a pet, that it's going to be a pain in the ass because you're going to have a lot of creatures on the field. But you know what? I'm suggesting it, so I'm willing to make that. I'm willing to put in the work to have it happen. You know what I mean? So, I don't know, but I think we're going to probably bring this stream to a close. It's the middle of the day. I got some Monster Manual videos to make because we got to talk about what's going on in there. But yes, since the embargo is up, you guys want to know a real weird one? How about the fact that lizard folk are now elementals? It's an odd one. Huh? That's a choice. But well, here's the thing. So I know you guys want, you guys are like, oh, go do the giant video. And you're not wrong. I could do the giant video. But here's the thing. Why, like, I could go make a video talking about every single giant in the book and read you off their stat blocks. So me reacting to them and their giant video doesn't really make like a ton of sense to me because I can just tell you things because I can just pull up the book. You know what I mean? So yeah, lizard folk are elementals, which is odd. Since the embargo is lifted, you can tell us whether or not there are rules to make monsters in the monster manual now. Yeah, I can do that. Give me a sec. Let me pull it up and I'll tell you. How to use a monster. Goes all through all the parts of a stat block. Challenge rating, traits, actions, multi-attack, reactions. That's it. Nope, rolls right into the monsters after that. Aarakocra, also elementals, by the way. Because that's the first one in the book. It's Aarakocra. So, no, nothing about how to make monsters. How to run a monster, very little bit. And just the anatomy of a stat block. And how that works. What's new in the 2025 version? Here's what it says. Right? It will feel familiar since the fundamental rules. Much of the book contains a new or redesigned elements, and the monsters herein replace versions from older books. Here are the highlights. More monsters. More than 500 stat blocks. New monsters. Dozens of new monsters, including more high-level threats, are ready to challenge characters of all levels. Refined rules. Every stat block has been updated for ease of use and game balance. New stat blocks, design and language prioritize details vital during play. Versatile groups. Non-player characters now appear alongside other monsters and can represent individuals of any humanoid species. Improved organization. Monsters are now organized alphabetically by their name variations on the same monster are grouped together, meaning like that, you know, all the devils aren't under F for fiend, or they're not all under D for devil or D for demon. Expanded lists. Appendix B collects and expands lists of monster details that appeared in the 2014 Dungeon Master's Guide. Every monster in the 2014 every monster in the 2014 Monster Manual appears in this book or has a CR appropriate replacement detailed in Appendix B. Because, yeah, some of them there is like a replacement, and some of them aren't a direct corollary. Let me see if I can find one. There was a good example. In parentheses. Monster by challenge rating, monster by group, creature type, underwater, hill, monster by habitat. Conversions. This is what you guys really want to know about. Let's see. Anatomy of stat block technically tells you how to make one. I got a little bit. So some of these, like I said, so some of these are very simple. Like Aarakocra in 2014 is now the Aarakocra Skirmisher, right? You'll see that. Acolyte is now the Priest Acolyte. Adult Blue Dracolich in 2014 is now just the Dracolich, and so on, right? You'll see that. That's a thing, right? Some of these, they just like added stuff. Kobold is Kobold Warrior. Hobgoblin is Hobgoblin Warrior. Half Red Dragon Veteran is just Half Dragon. But there are some that were based on the type of creature that they were that are different now. For example, Drow is a Priest Acolyte. Deep Gnome is a Scout. Drow Elite Warrior, the 2015 or 2025 equivalent, is a Gladiator. Drow Mage, Bandit Deceiver. Drow Priestess of Lolth, Fiend Cultist. Dwergar, Spy. Let's see. Orc, Tough. Orc Eye of Grumsh, Cultist Fanatic. Orc War Chief, Tough Boss. Orog, Berserker. So some of these have been shifted. Thug in 2014 is now a Tough in 2025. Veteran is like a Warrior Veteran. Yuan-Ti Pureblood from 2014 is now a Yuan-Ti Infiltrator. Stuff like that. So just giving you an idea that they're not all like very much like a Kobold to Kobold Warrior. Some of them are shifts. So there you go. Well, they're just, again, Drow, it's not saying that the Drow are now gladiators. It's just saying that what once was the Drow stat block from 2014, the equivalent of that same stat block, you would use the gladiator stat block in this book. Because they also, the only thing that's been broken out into an appendices is animals, right? So the main body of the monster manual is all of the creatures, but the NPCs, they're not like in a, like, if you recall, I think 2014, it was the monsters, then it was animals, then it was NPCs, was like Appendix B. The NPCs are just in the monster manual. So the only thing that has a separate appendix is animals, right? Things that are categorized as beast type. Everything else that's in the body of the monster manual. So like, if you were to look, you'll see, you know, you have Aarakocra, you'll have all this stuff, but then you'll have like Performer is under P in the monster manual, right? You'll have Spy is under S in the monster manual. So like that's kind of how things are broken up. So like what the stat block for what was the Drow has been basically recycled into what is now the Gladiator stat block under G for Gladiator in the monster manual, if that makes sense. Man, thank you, Agile Monk. We've been bouncing around this sickness in this house like crazy. I had to go pick up Bruce from daycare. He had a fever today. Let's see. He had like, people are like, we're getting a fever, somebody gets over the fever, then they get sick again. So me and the boys have been just cycling through this sickness over the past couple days. It past 3 weeks, actually. It's been brutal. So thankfully, I think we're finally starting to come out of it, but he got sick today, so who knows? Phase spiders, no, I believe phase spiders are now monstrosities. So, phase spider is under, yeah, so under P, there's Performer, and then there's a bunch of different kinds of Performers, right? Performer Maestro, Performer Legend. Phase spider is a monstrosity under P for phase. Giant eagle and giant owl are celestials, yes. Even though they are in the animal section, I think weren't they in the player's handbook? Maybe I'm thinking of something. Maybe not. Giant eagle is celestial. Giant elk is celestial. Giant owl is celestial. Correct. So sorry to all of the druids who transformed into the giant eagle to pick up people and fly. That is no longer an option for you, as a giant eagle is now a celestial creature. I feel a lot of these changes are dumb, so they're not in the appendix. No, the giant eagle and the giant elk and the giant owl are in the appendix. Yeah. Yeah, they speak celestial now. Oh, somebody's asking about these gloves. Talking about these gloves? These aren't black, they're actually metallic. They're armored. Just an armored gauntlet. But giant crocodile is a beast. Giant crab, a beast. Giant constrictor snake, a beast. Giant boar, a beast. Giant centipede, a beast. Giant bat, a beast. Giant badger, a beast. Giant ape, a beast. Those are all beasts. But the eagle, the elk, giant fire beetle, beast. Giant goat, a beast. Giant frog, a beast. Giant hyena, a beast. Giant lizard, a beast. Giant octopus, a beast. Giant rat, a beast. Giant scorpion, shark, seahorse, spider, squid, toad, venomous snake, wasp, vulture, weasel, wolf spider. Those are all beasts. It's just the elk, owl, and eagle that are celestials for some reason. So it's not all giant creatures. We'll just make that clear. Although now the giant owl has spellcasting, which is kind of cool. Did not have that before. So. Is there a stronger dino than the T-Rex? I don't even know if there is a giant. Was there a giant vulture in here at all? They are neutral evil, the giant. Oh, you're right. My bad. Giant vultures are monstrosities. My mistake. I'm sorry. Everything else was a beast. Giant vultures are monstrosities, not beasts, which is bizarre. We got hippopotamus as a stat block. Let's look for dinosaurs. I see Allosaurus and Kylosaurus. We got an Archelon, the big sea turtle. Elephant, elk. Flying snake. Flying snake is a monstrosity now. Not a beast anymore. More dinosaurs. More dinosaurs. What do we got? Hawk, hippo, hunter shark, hyena, jackal, killer whale, lizard, mammoth, mule, mastiff, regular owl, piranha, plesiosaur, pteranodon, saber-toothed tiger was always in here, right? That was always an option, saber-toothed tiger? I thought it was, but if it's not, it is a standalone stat block now, and it is a beast. You get the swarms. Tiger, Triceratops, T-Rex. That's it. Yeah, sorry. Nothing bigger than a T-Rex. Unfortunately. T-Rex, CR8. I think Giant Ape is also CR8. Well, the challenge ratings didn't change, so those are going to be probably still your best bet. Saber-Tooth Tiger is a CR2. Let's see. Killer Whale, CR3. Don't remember if they were in the book before. Hippo is a CR4. So I don't remember if Giant Squid. That's a CR6. Giant Squid. Again, it's a squid, so you got to be underwater to really make the best use of it. Let's keep looking. Giant Ape, yeah, still very strong. Elephant, CR4. The Archelon's a CR4. Big turtle. But yeah. It's divided by 3. So yeah, I think they are too high. So you're basically going to cap out at, what, CR6? It's going to be about the highest you can go. Yeah. It depends. If it rounds up, then it's CR7. But if it's round down, it's definitely CR6. Maybe the mammoth. What's the mammoth? Oops. CR6. Woolly mammoth. CR6. It's got a trample and a gore attack. It does multi-attack, so that might be your best bet. Yeah, so the mammoth is going to be your best bet probably right now is your CR6. It's chunky, 126 hit points. So 13 AC. Yeah, it's got the gore attack. Well, let's see. So its gore attack now is if the target is huge or smaller and the mammoth moved 20 feet straight towards it before it hit, the target has the prone condition. Oh, wow. Gore, right? If the target is a huge or smaller creature and the mammoth moved 20 plus feet before it hit it, it just is prone. No save. So if you move 20 feet in a line and hit it, they are just prone. And then the bonus action trample is they make a dex saving throw on one creature that has the prone condition. And you get 2 gore attacks, so you can go up, knock prone, and then just bonus action trample. Yeah. Trample as a bonus, yep. You just have to move and hit. Well, like I said, that's kind of a thing you'll see. And we could talk about this more when I make more Monster Manual-based videos. But the concept is they've removed a lot, and I've talked about this a little bit, like the uncertainty is that you hit, not that they make the save. So previously, like you would go charge and hit something, and then they'd have to make a saving throw or get knocked prone. But you still had to hit them first, and then they had to fail the save to then get knocked prone. So what they've done with a lot of this kind of stuff is remove the duplicity. So it's not like I got to hit you and you got to save. It's if I hit you, you get the thing, or I force a save and then you get the thing. So that's like why you see if I just move and hit you, you are prone. If you're huge or smaller with the mammoth, no save, and then boom, I can bonus action trample, no problem. So stuff like that. And there, like I said, I don't have It's kind of, let's see. Let's take a look at the T-Rex real quick. So if I bite you as a T-Rex, if the target's larger or smaller, it's grappled automatically and it's restrained. No save. I bite you, you're grappled and restrained. Done. If I hit you with my tail and you're huge or smaller, you are prone. No save. Done. You're down. Same thing with like the Triceratops with its gore. If the target is huge or smaller and the Triceratops moved 20 plus feet before it hit it, it just takes an extra 2d8 piercing damage and is prone. No save. 2d8, just take the extra damage and be prone. That's just kind of how that works now. Thank you, Agile Monk, for the subs. Or the members here, gifted members. Appreciate it. So, from first impressions, would you say they changed / updated enough to make the 2024 Monster Manual worth a buy? You could probably get by with the 2014, but you are going to have to do a lot of work on your end to juice the monsters up to tackle 2024 players. A lot of that work has been done for you in 2024 Monster Manual because they've done the effort on their end to like make things more balanced. So if you're comfortable doing the work yourself, that's fine. Also, a reminder, there are new creatures, right? It's not all, it's not all the same. There are new monster types and new options in here that did not exist before. So, like, for example, there are multiple Sphinxes, right? You have the Sphinx of Wonder, Sphinx of Secrets, Sphinx of Lore, and the Sphinx of Valor. Now, some of those are replacements for other Sphinxes, but, that's a cool thing. So, it all comes down to, what you're looking for. There's a lot of new stuff. I mean, there's the, I'm going to shut this so I don't get myself in trouble. But they just, all right, this is the last thing we're going to do, and then I'm calling this here. Oh, dear God, come on. Can I catch a damn break? D&D adds 2 new books to its 2025 slate, including new Eberron book. Well, that's where the Artificer's from, folks. The new Artificer book is going to be an Eberron book. Eberron, Forge of the Artificer. It's coming out in August, which will include the revised Artificer class, several new backgrounds and feats, revised Eberron species, including the classic species that previously appeared in Eberron Rising from the Last War, and the new Koravar species. The design team for Eberron Forge of the Artificer includes James Wyatt, who worked on the original Eberron line, and the original Eberron designer Keith Baker consulting on the new book. The Forgotten Realms Player's Guide will introduce circle casting, a new way to cast spells. Full details on the new mechanic was not revealed, but it will involve multiple spellcasters working together to amp up. Okay, so we were right, actually. This is what we suggested when this was first announced. Work together to amp up a spell or give it additional effects. One example given was making a spell's effect permanent instead of having a temporary duration. While no other details were provided for the October mystery book, EndWorld received a host of new details about the rest of the 2025 slate during a press visit to WotC's new office headquarters last week. One day I'll get these invites. Instead, I'll just keep doing all this free press. All right, Eberron, Forge of the Artificer, August 19th, 2025 release date. God, I hate EndWorld. It's just so full of ads. With looks at different parts of Eberron that wasn't explored in the previous book. The book will include new backgrounds, new bastion options tied to Eberron, and new expanded rules for airships. The book also includes some changes / previous Eberron lore. Notably, Dragonmark houses are no longer species locked, with characters able to join the houses later in life. Dragon marks are also being made into feats as opposed to having a separate subsystem. As a note, lead rules designer Jeremy Crawford specifically noted that Koravar are being considered a new species and distinct from half-elves. Crawford noted that this change came from the Eberron lore itself and reflects how the existing lore of D&D is influencing the mechanics. While the book won't include a full campaign, there are 3 chapters presented as campaign options with sample adventures. The 3 chapters titled Sharn Inquisitives, Dragonmark Intrigue, and Moorgrave Expeditions are organized using the methods explained in the DMG and include several sample options. At one point, Eberron Forge of the Artificer was described as Xanathar's Guide to Everything book, but specific to Eberron. This book will also be a different page count and price point than typical D&D rule books. Also, no further details were given. Heroes of the Borderlands starter set. We knew this was coming. We just didn't know what it was called. September 16th, 2025. Heroes of the Borderlands is a return to the Keep on the Borderlands, although time has passed since the original adventure module. The physical starter set will also contain several new innovations designed to make playing D&D easier for beginners. Notably, the starter set includes numerous new components, including tiles that players mix and match to create new characters. The tile system was described as one of the quickest character creation systems ever for new players, short of giving them a pre-generated character. The starter set will also include support for having multiple DMs run the campaign. Forgotten Realms Player's Guide, November 11th, 2025. Oh, God, this is locked up again. Come on. Let's scroll. All right. We have Forgotten Realms, new Unearthed Arcana, 8 new subclasses. Okay. Forgotten Realms Adventure Guide, November 11th. The Forgotten Realms Adventures Guide will contain deep dives on 5 different parts of the Forgotten Realms, each of which are meant to focus on a different kind of fantasy. The 5 areas include the Moonshae Isles, Icewind Dale, the Dale Lands, Calimshan, and Baldur's Gate. Each area will have short adventures for the DM to run and help launch a campaign. When asked whether the Forgotten Realms would have any changes, Crawford said that some of the areas of the Forgotten Realms would have new developments, particularly in areas where 5th edition hasn't touched before. Additionally, Baldur's Gate 3 will be referenced in the artwork of Baldur's Gate section, and there should be some other nods to the game in that section as well. So there you go. We will have the new Forgotten Realms books coming in November. The expanded Expedition to the Borderlands will be on November 16th. And then again, apparently Forge of the Artificer, August 19th, which will be a different price point and page count than typical D&D rule books, whatever that means. Could be more, could be less. And then obviously we also had, I skipped over this one, Dragon Delves coming out on July 8th. Previously unnamed Dragon Anthology is called Dragon Delves and will feature 10 short adventures, each of which features a different type of chromatic or metallic dragon. 3 campaign options will be provided in the anthology to link together the adventures. Not every adventure pits players against dragons, especially as the adventures range from level 1 to 12. The adventures are described as being relatively short and utilize the prep style seen in the 2024 DMG. There's also an art section showcasing dragon art from across 50 years of D&D material. Dragon Delves also noticeably departs from Wizards' in-house style for D&D. Each adventure features art by a different artist, with artists each providing their own style instead of conforming to fantastic realism found in D&D books. Artists in Dragon Delves include these folks who have the art is shown below. There you go. Well, that was a heck of a lot of news that we were not anticipating getting. Also, I think if I recall, there's new Humblewood on D&D Beyond. It is just a news day, folks. Yep. Humblewood Tales expands the enchanting world of Humblewood. That is also now 7 new and revised. I thought it was 8, but anyway. Yeah, so I guess they got new Humblewood here as well. Yep. More options available here on D&D Beyond for you if you're a big fan of Humblewood. Yeah, Humblewood Tales. Here it is right here. You just go ahead and get it. Well, folks, it has been a newsworthy day. We have had a lot of stuff going on. A lot of things were announced. A lot of things were found out. Thank you for the raid over here on Twitch. Appreciate it. Man, I did not anticipate that when I got up today. All I was trying to do was make monster manual videos. That's all I wanted to do today. And then they drop a new Unearthed Arcana with 8 new subclasses. They tell us that we're going to now have circle magic, which is a brand new type of casting. Yeah, it's I was just going to also go over and show you guys that some of the stat blocks were released. There was a couple extra stat blocks that they put out on their Twitter. I was going to go pull those up. And then I got distracted because the first thing I saw when I went over to go pull those up was the fact that they announced a new Eberron book, which was something I was shocked to see. I was like, where's this Artificer going? Are we getting a 2027 book? And then lo and behold, it's a secret book coming this year. But also, worth pointing out, just to show you guys real quick, is we do have the Performer stat block. This was released, as you can see here. Nothing too crazy here. The Performer is just a CR 1/2 creature, but it does have a short sword and uncanny dodge. Nothing too nuts. We do also have the Violet Fungus Necro Hulk, which is a large plant creature, as you can see here. We've talked about this in the past, but we do actually have its stat block now. Immunity to Necrotic, Poison, Blinded, Charm, Deafen, Frighten, and the Poison condition. Has 2 Rotting Slam attacks, which do a D10 plus 4 bludgeoning damage, plus 2d6 necrotic. It can do a Spore Bomb, which it recharges on a 5/6. 20-foot radius sphere. Creatures take 8d6 necrotic damage, have the poison condition until the start of the Necrohulk's next turn, and while poisoned, they can't regain hit points. And then as a bonus action, has Absorb Body. 1 medium or smaller creature the Necrohulk can see within 5 feet. They make a strength saving throw. If they fail, they're pulled onto the Necrohulk's space to become grafted to its body. The Necrohulk can have only 1 target grafted at a time. While grafted, the target has the restrained condition and disadvantage on con saves. When it moves, the grafted target moves with it. If the target dies while grafted, the body is destroyed and the Necrohulk gains 10 hit points. The grafted target or a creature within 5 feet can try to make a strength athletics check to remove them. The target is no longer grafted and moves to an unoccupied space within 5 feet of the Necrohulk. Do you think you can target the players that grafted to be teleported, shove, etc.? I would say so. I think it's you're able to pull them off. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to if you have magic like Vortex Warp or something where you could target somebody and teleport them off. I would say that would work in my opinion. But it's really cool. It's a nasty ability, for sure. So, the only thing that I think would be even cooler is if it grafts you, because you can see there's somebody grafted right here, is that if it could siphon your life to heal itself would be really cool. That'd be a really neat ability. Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack. I need to just I didn't even have lunch. I thought this was going to be just a quick video. So I need to gather my thoughts and figure out, I need to figure out what the hell, how I'm going to break this down into usable content, because I have to either take this live stream and cut it up into a bunch of pieces, or I just need to go start recording a whole bunch of new stuff because, there's just so much content to be made today. Also, unrelated to all of this, but related to this little thing you see down below here, I did see that they are starting production on the line for the limited edition pinball machines. So soon, hopefully, we can get that going, and then we can do some pinball streams for you guys. But, we're sadly only halfway there on the funding, but we'll see. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful Tuesday. This has been wild for me. Yeah. So much stuff, guys. It's insane. And I still have other videos I was going to make anyway. I got other stuff to open and unbox, and I just haven't had time to do anything. I have a fat stack of stuff that came from, I have a pile of books this high from Nord Games that showed up today. I got so much stuff to go through. Is today, what is today? Is today Tuesday? Today's Tuesday, right? Yeah. So anyway. Ted needs realism long rest. Yeah. I could use one of those. That would be great. But anyway, yeah, it is a crazy, what a Tuesday, huh? Anyway, you guys are all amazing. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow night live for my Fandelver and Below campaign. I might be back tonight with more stuff. I'm not sure. I might be back just doing a live stream to just chat or maybe to play some video games. I don't know. We'll see. I haven't logged into Marvel Rivals in like a week and a half because I've been just dying between me cycling through getting sick with my kids getting sick and then them getting sick again and then getting me sick again. We've just had this lovely just rotating sickness. So anyway, I appreciate all of you. I couldn't do this without you, and you're going to help me make 2025 an amazing year for Nerd Immersion. I can just feel it. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.